Okay, good afternoon. Today is April 29th, and we're going to continue where we left off here. So, today's the 28th, I'm sorry. And we reviewed last time, we reviewed B, Ni, and Cha. So we're going to continue on with our list of tasks for these uh, we have these instrumentation affixes, meaning they could the instrument sound is it's actually is a root word. Cha is what we ended with. Remember, chomaska means chomahelska means it's white inside of the uh, it's white inside of the stick, peppermint stick. In other words, you probably saw them. They used to have them in jars at the general store. The general store had everything inside of the store. Everything like methylatum, Vicks, needles, threads, many things inside of a general store that would be needed in the home, including clocks. They had some clocks in there. They had kerosene lamps, and way in the back, they had buckets hanging from the ceiling, and bathtubs hanging on the wall. All kinds of things you ever think about. Shovels, axes, anything that the home. And so that's a prototype of Walmart. Walmart has everything, or practically everything, inside, just like the general store. They have fabric. Main thing of the general store had things you could use for crafts at home. They had beads. They had beads, beading needles, beading thread, all kinds of things. Back in the day, the general store. Uh, we still have them, but I don't know if they're well stocked like they used to. They used to be. They had a lot of things. Well, we're going to the cha next. Cha. And so that one is the uh, superlative suffix, ultimate, best. Washticha would be the best. Shichicha, worst. So you just washte nechcha. Shiche nechcha. You add a uh, suffix in this case. Chcha by itself also means truth. Truth. So if I said chaka, that means that's really truth. uh, hey, uh, if I said, hey, uh, hello, Wachchake, he's truthfully a good singer. Hello, Wachcha. Tewachchake. Tewachilachcha. I truthfully love her. Or if it was a woman, she would say, I truthfully love him. Tewachilachcha. Later on, we're gonna go through the meaning of techi, which means difficult, but it's in love. That word is in love. Techila. So tewachilachcha, I truthfully, ultimate, really love her. Okay. Wambalakachcha, I truthfully witnessed or saw something. Okay, I truthfully witnessed or saw something. Then it would be Wambalakachcha. I really did see that person. Okay. So next you say Waloachchake. I really sang hard. Ultimately, I sang with all my might. Waloachchake. I think we do that when we honor somebody. People would, the singers, they sing with all their heart for a grandma or a grandpa. They would really mean it because this is their day. The elders, and they honored them. It would be their day. So we really uh, honor them with a heartfelt song, honor song, heartfelt. Uh, so that would be Waloach Chake. That ke means intense that the action was meant to be an addition to the real. It would be like the EST, best. That ke helps that way. Okay. Waloach Chake. Wawachich Chake. I danced with all my might. Wawachich Chake. You dance for a grandpa or grandma and shake their hand, get in line. Some people, they not shuffle along, they actually bouncing and dancing along with the song, the honor song. Some people just slide and walk along. Me, when I honor somebody, I dance with all my might to that song. I don't want to lose it. It sounds so good to honor them. I dance for the elders or whoever's getting honored. Maybe it's a little boy or a little girl. Maybe it's somebody's graduation. We dance with all our might. So this was, if we did it, we say wa unchi pi chake, wa unchi pi chake. The pi means the plural. Wa and pi makes we. Wa unchi pi, and pi makes we. Wa unchi pi chake. Wachi is dance. And and pi is in there, in that verb. Wa she pi chake. Wa she pi chake. Wachi. Wa she pi chake. We danced with all our might. Okay. Chaka is real or truth. Shung olich chaka, a real horseman. He's got cowboy hat, spurs, chaps. He's got a little leather container with a plier in there. Well, if you're riding a horse out in the prairies, you gotta have a plier. And sometimes you have to have a rifle in your scabbard, your rifle carrier. You have to have a rifle. Pliers the main thing because sometimes there's a fence that needs repaired. So you clip it and splice it in. You know, it's good to carry in your saddlebag a roll of baling twine. They sell them in rolls. So you can put it in your saddlebag. So when you're repairing the fences, you'll have extra wire to splice the fence wire. You repair it. Sometimes you have a broken fence uh, wire. So that's a necessity. So if you're a real cowboy, you're going to have a plier in your back, a hunting knife. You need a rifle. Sometimes, where I grew up in the sandhills of Nebraska, uh, we didn't like jackrabbits because they make those holes all over the prairies. And in the dark, a cow might step in one and break his leg. I never did see a cow break his leg out on a prairie. Never. I never see a cow step into a rabbit hole. Never. But farmers, ranchers, they still shoot them. One of the reasons was they made holes in the prairie and the animals might step in it and break their leg. I never saw that happen. All the years that I was there, there's cattle out there all over the prairies, but they never stepped in no hole. I think they have a sense to look down as they're walking. We don't. Humans don't look down where you're going to step next. We're just kind of walking along. Nobody's business. We don't know if we're going to step into something, step on something. Sometimes, some people are really watchful where they take the next step. I do, uh, especially when we had kitties, and I had signs all over the walls. Look down, kitties on the floor. Look down, kitties on the floor, all over the walls, so that people will look down so they don't step on a little kitty. They're tiny, and I didn't want nobody stepping on our kitties. Okay. Nachcha. Chcha. Na is made to blossom. When something blossoms, you say nachcha. It happened. Nachcha. It blossomed. Chcha is the ultimate thing, right? That's what I said at the beginning. So the nachcha, na is made to blossom. It happened. Nachcha. And so wa nachcha, things that blossom are flowers. Wa is things. Nachcha, blossomed. Things that blossomed. Wa nachcha. Now you're learning how to sequence the syllables, the meaningful syllables. Wa at the beginning in this instant means things. Wa naksha, things that blossom. Now you know prefixing sometimes makes a word that would be binding because the syllables bind together and it's meaningful. Wa naksha. Chaksha, chacha naksha. That's the long version. Chaksha is the male buck deer antlers spike up when they're mature. So it's the ultimate last thing they could do. That's the ksha part. Kha is its body blossoms someplace where? Well, up here when they're mature, the antlers finally make uh, the final visual sight that we know that that deer has become mature. It's maturing even more when you get more uh, spikes on the antlers. So we say, "Oh, I got a 7 pointer." When you're looking for a trophy buck, right? The trophy is the antlers. So the tchacha is the male, fully matured deer. If it has like seven, some have six, some have 5 spikes, and it grows. A lot of people say 7. Uh, so that would be chachcha. What about wichachchala? Wicha means the man. Chala would be what it could do ultimately, maturely. Wichachcha la is lovable, old man. It's grandpa. Wichachchala. That would be old man. And where do they blossom? In wisdom. If they live to be an old man, they must have mastered many things that kept them alive. Preparing for the winter, hauling wood, getting uh, barrels ready, and the buckets that can't rust, corrugated buckets, right? And so they're protected from rust. And so then we have stainless steel finally. Stainless steel buckets. If you have one of those, you got treasure. I think I only had one time, and I still have it. Then dippers. Dippers were very valuable too because we drank water from dippers. And when we had bucket water for our drinking water, we brought a bucket of water and put it on the shelf, a shelf right there. And sometimes we have 3 buckets there, or two buckets of water, so we could drink water. Then we use it to pour in a pot and warm the water for hot water. We pour it in a basin. Some of us had little kettles. We warmed the water for tea or to wash ourselves in a basin. So all of these were necessary items that we needed in home. You get these in the old days at the general store, even the dipper. And so things were available that way. So if you had all of these and useful things, then you're responsible and may grow to be an old man or old woman because you mastered life as it could be lived. Have a garden. Oh, my grandpa, Paul Spider, used to have the biggest gardens. And they had gourds, they had pumpkins, corn, potatoes, onions, radishes, carrots, all, even watermelons and muskmelons. They had everything getting ready for the winter. And the vitamins with the melons and the watermelons and many good vitamin-filled foods, the beets and things that they ate in the summer to fortify themselves for the winter. So they would be all strong and healthy going into the winter. We learned to can from the Europeans with jars. We canned pickles. We canned beets. We canned many things, even the jelly from the fruit. We made many kinds of jellies and many kinds of canned products. We were really adaptable to change, natural and unnatural. We adapt to many things. And if you adapted to many things throughout your life, you become a wichachchala, or the women, a winuchchala, the ultimate uh, thing that could happen. They bolster within nature. They just blossom within nature, appear in their mind, collecting all the ways to stay alive, chopping wood all the time, having wood chips to start the fire in the morning. Many things had to be thoughtful. And in the fall, we had tiakastaka. Tiakastaka. Akastaka means to hit, to make stick, meaning the logs in between needed to be filled with clay. So they would have a big pile of clay, and then they make a bowl in the middle. They pour water in there, and then they mix it at a consistency where it's like uh, a clay ball, but kind of where it could splash into the uh, groove of the two logs in between there. You would hit the clay uh, gum like gum like clay, and you stick it in there. Some people put nails kind of downward in the middle. Yeah, you have to be tactful how to do that. So that the clay would hold the nails would hold the clay in place also. So we had to be wise and tactful how to make the clay just stick there all winter to keep the inside of the log home warm. So we would fill in the spaces in between the logs. Yeah, even did that in the fall. My grandma and grandpa, where I was raised, Grandma Edward and Louisa Spotted Crow, in the fall they would have a big tiakastaka uh, doings. A lot of families, men, women, families came to help fill in the gaps of the logs. And so it was a big event. And they would cook, the women would cook all kinds of good soups and potato salad, and some of them would be frying meat, and some of them making soup and making kabubu bread. And what a wonderful life that I lived with them, teaching me what I'm supposed to do nowadays. How to take care of my home. This is my home right here. This is mine. We paid entirely for it. I and my wife. Just like my grandma and grandpa, they owned their own home. They kind of taught me how to be responsible, those old timers. So I kind of emulate the ways, I copy their ways, which is the best thing to do. Copy responsible people, copy them, because they're the ones that would take you so far, and then you could start on your journey of a responsible life. You could start on your own journey of inventing things, making things. I make drums. So I got all kinds of drum frames. I just ordered some buffalo hide and elk hide uh, because I got some orders. People like my drum because they're taut or tight, and they sound good. And buffalo hide, it has a consistency that is flexible, even through cold, and in the winter it still sounds the same. In case we're singing at a funeral outdoors and it's cold outside, my drum still sounds good. It still has the good boom, 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 boom to it. So that's the way that we really share in song. Just a minute, I'm gonna let my dog out here. Hold on, hold on, baby. Hold on. Go out. Come on. Let's go. Come on, wait. Go, go. Okay. Yeah, he wants to go out. Oh, she wants to go outside. Princess. She let me know she wants to go outside. Okay, we ended that with a wichachala and winuchala. Next, we're going to go to a root word that runs through many words, animals, and objects, and uh, even the motion, the growth and stuff. One such root word is ra. Ra. If you say ra in a word, that means there's water involved. Ra. The morpheme for water. Morpheme is the meaningful sound. And morphemes need other syllables to make it a word. Bound morpheme, we call them. Bound means it has to bind to other uh, syllables to be able to sequence the sounds to make a word. It's descriptive, in other words. Descriptive words that now we know the meaning of a object, what we're telling about it, what it does, or what it is. Okay? So maga, the G on this would be the gutturalized G. Maga, kind of in the back. Ga, kind of towards the nasal cavity inside. Ga. So you're pushing your back part of your tongue upwards. Ga. And then you hit your uh, the alveolar area, the back part of your nasal cavity. You hit it right there. And you get ra, ra. Maga is a duck. It has to do with water. Ra. So maga is a water fowl, which is the duck. Maga. Then we have the magaksicha, which is the goose. The goose, it has to do with water. They float on water real nicely. They have a breast that kind of is buoyant. They kind of float along and their little legs are spinning and they got webbed feet. I wonder who thought of all of that to create such a being where it could have a propeller with its little feet. Oh man. Did it evolve? Did it evolve that way or did somebody put some thought into it? Or is it preordained by its genes that this was its survival modality or motion reasons, motion necessities? You know, our existence is dictated by the surrounding environment, how to grow into it. Isn't that awesome? That something in our DNA, the duck's DNA, would forecast how to be because of what is on the earth. This is awesome. You know, I like to think of the things and explaining things that way. Then you could see that there is a creation that's very miraculous. You know, wo yu ye, surprise. That's a miracle. Wo yu ye, surprise. Things that are surprising. Wo yu ye, wo yu ye, wo yu ye. Surprise is a miracle. When we say when we see miracles, we say wo yu ye. When the ministers, priests first came, they told about a man. They said his name was Jesus and that he could change water into wine. And some stones into bread, and he could make the dead come back to life. He could heal the blind. They said about this man. They told about the Woyushie about him, the miracles. This priest said. He told these Dakota, these were Dakota he was talking to. That was out east. That's where they first encountered these ministers and priests. They didn't get to Lakota Nation yet, just out east. So that's why they have the Bible in Dakota. They have the hymnal in Dakota, the Niobrara hymnal. That's in Dakota. Later on, the Lakota translated from the Dakota into the Lakota language for the hymnals. But first, it was the Dakota. They were the brunt of meeting the ministers and priests that came to convert the Dakota with the Presbyterian faith at the beginning, because they were funded by the government to come out and civilize the Dakota. I think they were already civilized. They knew how to live in villages. They knew how to share. They knew about the plants and the seasons. They knew how to keep warm. They were masters at staying alive for a long, long time. And they didn't have any sugar. No sugar diabetes. So they were just naturally living good without sickness. Does civilization mean sickness? Is pandemic in a civilized world? Did they have pandemics in the Lakota world? Did they have tuberculosis, smallpox, and all of them? Did they, Lakota, have the medicines that could heal what was on this continent? The medicines and the sicknesses we knew equated with the medicines that we knew. But when alcohol came, we don't have a medicine for that. It affects your body. It saturates into your body. And there's no stopping it. There's no medicine for it. So that's why does civilization mean a good life? Civilized, does it mean that you can wend your way through hard times? Like living off the earth during the Depression. Lakota, during the Depression, had many ways to use the roots and leaves and the teas from the bark and many of the sap from maple and from the waters. The wild rice was all available at the grocery store. We have to remember these things, the healthy things. And so, Ra, back to our word, Ra. These things are important, and I'm telling you. You know, it's important that the sequencing of these words then describes even how we were in the past. And someone comes and says, we have miracles that you should know about. So when they told the Lakota that, the Lakota answered this way: we believe you that this man could change water into wine, that he could change stones into bread. We believe you because we have similar Woyushi miracles. And they told about the white buffalo calf woman. They said a long time ago, Two warriors went, traveling together, protecting one another. And then they saw a white buffalo go down a hill, come up, and it was a woman in a white doe-skin dress, carrying a bundle. The Lakota warriors looked, and when it came, she said to only one of them, because the other one said, "Hey, mitcha," to his friend, "that's mine. She's going to be mine." And she knew his thoughts. So she beckoned to him, and a steam rose, a mist, around the woman and the man. And when the mist went away, the warrior was laying on the ground, just bones. So she came forward to the one who was a good man, who didn't have bad thoughts. She told him, "Go back to your village and tell them that in 4 days I will come again. And I will bring you a gift. Tiokihea Majikarapo. Make a long teepee that had many holes, elongated to make it like a hall." My words. To make it like a long hall. My words. Her words. Tiokihea. And so he went back, and 4 days later, that white buffalo was coming again, and came over the horizon, and a woman walked forth with that bundle. They say she came there to speak to the people. She gave them that bundle, which contained a round stone and a chan umpapi, a wooden stem with a sacred red stone bowl to smoke out of. Put it together. She taught them how to put it together. She taught them the special tobacco she used. She showed them. She told them what it was, the tobacco. And the stone was to sit in front of the person filling the umpapi, touching it, because that's our grandfather. You know, there's not many people who have a round stone to fill their pipe and touch it and pray with it. I have one in my closet. I got it in a container, and it's sitting on sage, and it's wrapped in red with red cloth. I leave it there along with my chanupa, which is hanging up on the wall there. I never fill it, never pray. Only 3 times I unfolded the red stone and prayed with the chanupa to only 3 people so far, because they don't know about the sacred stone that I have. They don't know that I'm a pipe carrier. I never tell them. Just for you, because I need to tell this story. I need to tell it because we have miracles too. And when these Lakota told about this miracle, the 7 sacred rites, that priest they told that to, he said, "That's absurd." When that minister told a Lakota about the miracles, They believe in it because we have miracles too. The priest had miracles, but he didn't believe the Lakota miracles. Once again, to accept one another's miracles, I think, is another place where we could start getting along in a world of spiritual equality. Not only humanity and social equality, but spiritual equality included. We need to accept one another's stories of healing, of being together as humans, not separate denominations. Who is righter? Who's most right? Oh, it is a world of choices, right? Well, it's good. You can have a lot of choices if you want to. I think I was baptized 3 times or maybe 4. I know one time they pushed me under the water at Niobrara River. I wait to be baptized. I think I read that in St. John the Baptist had dunked Jesus in the water. I felt that. You know, I was pushed under the water by uh, Mr. Torson. I don't know if he was a priest, but he was a person who had the Church of God in Gordon, Nebraska. He used to take us in the beat trucks, little kids and families. There were no buses in those days. So went in beat trucks to the Niobrara River to have a big picnic. And some people got baptized. Oh, we had those games, gunny sack race and wheelbarrow race and all kinds of that one where they pulled a rope, a whole bunch on this side and this side, and they try to pull the other ones over that line, and all kinds of games they played. It wasn't only just sacred things there. We had fun things too, and we ate together. Big picnic. Oh, that I like people, different peoples. I like to taste different types of potato salad. There was a woman who lived in Vermilion who made the best potato salad in the whole wide world. But she went to the spirit world. Somebody should have copied her. Her cooking methods and recipes. And she made the best kabubu bread in the whole wide world. Sometimes she would call me. And she called me older brother. Tibula, come over, I made you some kabubu bread. And there would be a whole pile. I take it home. I put butter on it. Oh, that was tasty and good. That was my sacred taste from a really wonderful woman. Some of those things we have to remember. I taught my wife how to make kabubu bread. So every now and then she would make me kabubu bread. She makes me the makes me menudo. She makes me menudo, and the Mexican way of making canija. And she makes it the Lakota way too, because I taught her the Lakota way. We have to go all the way to Sioux City to the Mexican grocery store because they got every possible type of canija that's inside the belly of the cow. All the cashupa and the tija manamana. I knew all the different kinds of the one looks like a carpet, one looks like a beehive, and of course the intestines, they wash them good. All of those are available there. And, sometimes my wife, when she makes me tanira, She includes the hooves. The hooves. The steer or cow. So she would include them the old way. Oh, she makes good honey the old way. Now they just use one kind, and get it at Walmart. We get all the possible pieces of the taniga when she makes mine. And sometimes we take it to a powwow, big kettle of it. Those who know love it. Those who don't, who have a different culture to say, yuck. They don't know what's going on. They don't know the beauty of these tastes of the ancient ones. The Winuchchala and the Wichachchala. Those ones who were wise and lived for a long, long time. We have to remember them. They brought us this far. They brought us into the 20th century. From there, we took over into the 21st century. Some of us still carry those valuable ways to stay alive a long time. Some of us rely on modern medicine, which is good also. I survived cancer. By 39 of those laser treatments. I went through that. 39 days. And now I'm cancer free and I'm happy. The white man's medicine, I respect them because they mastered it too. They mastered something also. Old white doctor would be a wichachchala because experienced all the ways to make people well. There's old grandmas in the white world who are wise. They canned foods. They made sausage. They made cottage cheese. And they made many of the things that they could store through the winter. We learned from them too. And they learned from us how to dehydrate food, to dry food, how to store them so they won't get moldy and last for a long, long time, even through a blizzard. I went through the 49 blizzard with my grandma and grandpa. Wichachchala, Winuchchala, those ones. Belecha. Bele is a lake, Ra is a water, and it means a pelican. Belecha. They're in the lakes. You see them in Lake Andes, South Dakota. Every now and then I pass by over there by Lake Andes just to see the pelicans. Like a little tourist. I even take pictures of them because I'm not accustomed to seeing pelicans. I'm Lakota. In the Badlands and Porcupine, we don't have no lakes where the pelicans come. It's over here along the Missouri. They follow the waterways all the way to Lake Andes, different lakes throughout our East River peoples. We have pelicans. They have seagulls over here. You think you'll see a seagull in Porcupine? Nah, I don't think so. Do you think they would see a coot? Coot? What's a coot? C-O-O-T. Google it. It's a waterfall I saw one time while I was driving towards Wagoner, towards where the Ihunktuan live. I was going to visit over there and sing some songs. I like to go over there and sing songs with the Dakota. They like Lakota songs. Oh, they love them. Anyway, while I was going, I saw this black kind of duck looking, but it didn't have a bill like ducks do. This one had a beak, and the beak was bright yellow, a yellow beak and a black body. Its whole entire body was black. A black duck, I said. but it wasn't a duck. It had a beak. And so I looked it up in my bird book. I carry a bird book with me just in case. I had my binoculars too. Ah, like a little tourist. I looked at it and I looked at my bird book, and it was a coot. Coot, it's a different waterfowl. Ever since 1993, when we had a lot of rain and floods, some farms in the waters, especially by uh, Centerville, where the Jim River runs down, uh, uh, Vermilion River runs down from there. Uh, we see a lot of different kinds of waterfowl camp, and it say there was three different kinds of plants that started growing that we never saw before. It's because they grew in their right season during the wetland times. So those plants during that time came back because it was in the right season. They grew when the environment allowed them to. So they must have been waiting. Just like the ganashka, the frog, waits all winter, and then when the muds loosen up, they come up. Overnight, you would hear them. We live close to ponds here. We could hear them. Ribbit, 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 ribbit. About a million of them overnight because the rains came back and the muds were loosened and the frogs got loose, came to the top, and they said, ribbit, 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 ribbit. Oh, a bunch of them. They're annoying sometimes. And along our little ponds, sometimes, if we're lucky, we have the wahachan, cottonwood trees. Yeah, close to those ponds, there's cottonwood trees. Boy, they're prolific. There could be hundreds of them growing when one starts. They kind of egg each other's on to grow a whole bunch because the root systems run, and from the root system, upshoots come. From the roots, upshoots, meaning little babies are born from a root to push out of the earth and be a part of that family of one tree. The roots grow and reach far. That's come they call them wagachan. They reach long distances to look for water. Wagachan. Ra, it's water. Wa, things. Ra, water. Chan. And it's wood. Another sequencing, meaningful syllables strung together to describe a tree in this case. So it's a good thing to know a lot of our environment, what the trees do, what they intend, what signs are, so that in case you're looking for water, you know where to look now. Look for some cottonwood trees. You know water is not too far away. That's survival. The survival of these elders. They knew that. They named them. How did they name them? Did the name come first, or did the tree come first? Whatever. I think they evolved together to describe one predictable, the other one answering. That's language. Descriptive. When we describe our environment, we're creating words. And it's cultural because we know how to use them and what to do with them, especially during Sundance times. You look for the wagacha, one with a crutch, and that's the one that to sacredly bless it with a girl there to touch it, to be able to be allowed and offer tobacco and pray for that tree with that tree. If I am doing that for the community, then I tell the little girl to say the apology to the birds because that's their home and we're taking it. Apology to the birds. is a prayer. Thank you very much for today. I sure enjoyed myself, and I hope you did too. And we'll continue with the words containing the sound ra the next time we come together. Oh, I'm happy you record these so that you can hear them sometime in your lifetime. Thank you very much. Pila mayayafi. Doksha ake wachian kapikte.